Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to this quick workshop that's all about freelancing fundamentals, how to get started as a freelancer. So I have been talking to a variety of folks as well as, I work a lot with digital skills, and I realized that many people don't know the fundamentals, right? The basics, the bottom line of becoming a freelancer, what you have to do. And there are a lot of pieces, whether you're freelancing, doing gig work, contract based work, or a fractional employee. There are certain things that you need to know just to get yourself set up for success, right? They don't teach this stuff in school. It can be overwhelming, especially when you're first getting started. So, what I did was create this quick little workshop that talks a little bit about some key things that you need to know at the beginning of your freelance, gig work, fractional worker, or contract worker, or even entrepreneurial journey, right? Because all of this does tie right back into being an entrepreneur. So let's get started. For those of you who don't know me, I am Georgie-Ann, and I am the CEO and founder of GSD Solutions. I create content under my brand GSD with Georgie, and I'm an execution expert. I'm a mom of two, as well as I'm an author and speaker. And I've done a lot of work in the entrepreneurial and tech space over the last 10 plus years, specifically supporting underrepresented groups such as women and people of color, Black people, to just get more opportunities, learn digital skills, and just really get shit done. All right. So that's a little bit about me. I want to kick this off with a quote from my book that says, "Don't wait for life to force you to make a change. Make that change consciously and on your own time." So this is going to come back up and it's going to be very important to remember. So let's dive into 5 fundamentals of freelancing. The way I formatted this presentation is tied right into my 5 P's framework. You may know about it already, and if not, if this is your first time hearing about this framework, it is purpose, plan, produce, profit, play. These 5 P's is essentially a framework that I've developed over learning about entrepreneurship, teaching freelancing skills, and just these 5 elements, when you put them together, allows you to go through a journey and be successful no matter what you're working on. So if you're a professional, you could use this framework. If you're an entrepreneur, and definitely if you're a freelancer, creative, or someone that is doing fractional contract based work. So let us dive in. So the first fundamental, I'm going to tie right into purpose. And you have to figure out why, right? Your first fundamental, your purpose. Why do you want to do freelance or fractional work? There are so many different formats for work, part-time, full-time, leadership roles. There's different formats, but why do you want to do fractional work? And for folks that are out there that may not know what fractional work refers to, or freelance work, that's a little bit more a general term that a lot of people use. So I'll explain it. So fractional work is essentially coming in kind of a step above part-time, so you're embedded into the company, but at the same time you're your own individual. So fractional work, freelance work, consulting work, contract work, all are interchangeable. There are little variations on each depending on what type of work and how intensely you work with that organization. But this allows you to you're your own boss. You come in per project, or with set deliverables, set goals, and you're kind of in charge of your own time, making sure that you meet deliverables. You may be in a chain of different team members, right? But this is really the present as well as future of work. More gig based contract fractional work is how the future of work and the present of work will look. And there are a lot of benefits to this, such as freedom of time, flexibility, and your personal interest. There's another term that people use called having a portfolio career. And a portfolio career is essentially, how you have your portfolio, you may design or create different artistic things. So it's usually portfolios and references to like an artist or a graphic designer or a developer, right? They have the portfolio with samples of their work. A portfolio career is just having different types of careers, maybe through different industries, or maybe in the same industry, but different angles in that industry. So this is where fractional and freelance work comes in. So let's say you're good at graphic design, you're also good at workshops, you're also good at operations, then you can work fractionally at one organization leading up operations or on the operational team. You work at a different organization for a short time working on designs and being a head graphic designer or introductory graphic designer. So it allows you to tackle your personal interests and your work and feel really ignited and excited about what you're doing, because you don't have to stick to the same thing for 40 plus years as people have done in the past when they do longer term careers, etc. So portfolio career just means you're switching different occupations, different companies, different industries, and building out a portfolio for your career. So it's not just one thing. So if you're multi-hyphenate, you probably have a portfolio career, right? And the thing that we tie into purpose here is knowing why. Nothing at all is wrong with having a full-time job, working that job for 10, 15, 20 plus years and staying at that organization, maybe moving in different departments or different levels of your role in that organization. Absolutely nothing is wrong with that. So much content out there. Oh, be an entrepreneur, quit your job, quit your job. Do not quit your job if you enjoy your job and you're good at it and you're having a good time, because fractional work, freelance work is not for the faint of heart. It is inconsistent. It can be very inconsistent depending on your field, depending on, what work you're doing at the time, as well as the demand for whatever you're doing. So, there's benefits, but there's also some cons. So there's a lot of pros, but there's a lot of cons to this work as well. So know why you want to do it. Maybe it's for a short amount of time. You maybe had children, you're taking care of an elderly family member, or you just don't want the pressure of a full-time job right now. Or you just want to try something new. You do fractional work 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, and then you do a different type of work. So just know why you're doing it, because again, there are benefits, but if you're not prepared and you're not clear on your why, those benefits really don't matter to you because you don't really want to be there. So definitely figure out, why do you want to do fractional work? Now, the second fundamental is having a plan. And what does that look like? Is this your end goal? Do you want to do fractional freelance gig work forever? Like I was saying before, when your purpose, what is your end goal? Getting really, really clear on that. And it can change over time. So you may say, I want to do fractional work for the next 6 months. And then 6 months or 5 months comes and you're like, I kind of want to do this for another 6 months, or I want to do it for 2 years, or I like traveling, or I like the flexibility it's giving me, or I've taken up a hobby. I decided to have a baby while I started doing fractional work. There's so many ways that this can, outlook at the other side. So figuring out why you want to do this fractional work is the first thing, and then having a plan of how you will do it, and will it continue, will it be short term, will it be long term? So just being clear on that is really important as well. Is this just on a step to a journey? What does your schedule look like? Will you be working 2 days a week? Will you be working weekends? Will you be working midnight, right? Like I've seen, and I've even worked did fractional work where I worked with some companies in Asia, and they are 12 hours different. I have people on my team that do fractional work that is 5 hours, 12 hours, 10 hours, 3 hours difference in time zones. So just being conscious of that. Yeah, flexible schedule. But what does that mean? Do you like working at night? Is that a benefit to you? So just getting super clear on how fractional work manifests for you, and having a plan to make sure that it works, and identifying what you will work on. So I mentioned that earlier, where it's like, do you want to do design for 6 months? Do you want to do operations? Do you want to do consulting? Do you want to do, maybe it's something on the ground, maybe it's finances, right? And so figuring out the pieces to your specific puzzle is going to be key, right? Having a plan and having the pieces in place for your journey as a person that is doing fractional or freelance work is fundamental. You can't skip over that step. And I will tell you, and I did a post on LinkedIn yesterday in regards to something that I asked folks, what did you learn, or what do you wish somebody else learned? And a lot of the comments really resonated with my experience, that we learned this in a crash course. So it wasn't until after you jumped into freelance or fractional work that you realize, like, oh snap, there are so many options. I don't have a plan. I'm overwhelmed. I'm confused. I want to do this, but it's just not working out. And it's because you didn't have a plan. So make a plan, figuring out what pieces are, make up your specific puzzle, your specific journey, and identify what you'll work on. And then again, we're going to keep going back to the different fundamentals, figure out why you want to work on it. Now, fundamental number 3, produce. You got to go into production. You got to do this work. But before you can do this work, you have to figure out how do you work best, right? And so some of the fundamental things, right, that people don't talk about when it comes to freelancing and fractional work is creating your ideal office and work style for your best results. And here we have like I have a little photo of somebody working on the beach. I am not working on nobody's beach. It looks cool, it looks cute. You have your photos and your laptops in the sand. I have zero interest. If I am on the beach, I do not want to have my laptop out. That's just what it is. I don't like to work like that. I also know that I working at my dinner table, working on my bed, if you want me to work in those two places, just know that you don't want any work done. But here I have my home office, and not everyone has the abilities, whether it's financial or just space wise, to have a home office. But just being clear on like, does this work for you? In the comments yesterday, somebody said, ideally working from home twice a week, as well as then the other days working out of a co-working space and fluctuating, because having that connection with other people is important. Getting out the house may make you more creative, make you more ignited. Getting some sunlight, right? Vitamin D is important. So there are different ways that you can work, especially when you're doing fractional freelance work. You can work in different cities, different countries, different states. I have a colleague, shout outs to Amita over at Adventurely, that she supports nomad and freelance workers that travel around the world and build communities through this freelance working. So definitely check out Adventurely if you want to travel and do your freelance work. But what I want to get at is that may work for person A, but that may not work for you. You may realize that being in a different country every 4 to 6 weeks or 4 to 6 months does not work for your work style. You're not productive. You're not doing what you need to do in order to hit your financial goal, your business goals, or you're just not set up for success. And so this is why I'm sharing these fundamentals, because I want you all to be set up for your success and know what to expect when you start doing this freelance work, because it can seem fun. Oh, I get flexibility, I have freedom of time, I can work from anywhere, I'm left up on the beach, toes in the sand. But that is one person experience, or maybe it's a few people's experience, or maybe they're just doing it for the gram, and like me, they cannot stand being on a beach with their laptop. Like, I could use my laptop when I go back into the hotel room for a couple minutes or at the home, but I personally don't like to use technology and work in like fun areas. Like, I need to have fun. The next thing is creating boundaries on the type of work you do, as well as when you work. Lessons I learned the hard way. I will share the first lesson that I learned the hard way is early on in my freelance and fractional work career. What I would do is I like to work at night. I just get a boost of energy. Maybe you do too. I wouldn't say I'm a night owl, because I don't like to stay up late. I love a good nap. I like to go to bed on time. But if I'm working, I do get a boost when it's like super quiet. There's not a lot of people around, as well as I've been a mom for my entire adult career, right? And so having a son, before I started working, I knew that in order for me to get my best work done, it's best if I know he's safe and sound, he's sleeping. I don't have to think about like, will the school call? I can't go on Do Not Disturb. Just other things that are filling my mind. As we know, did I buy tissue? Is he hungry? Like, am I hungry? Right? All these thoughts and things that give me distractions in the daytime. Working at night just didn't have as many distractions. So I loved working at night and staying up late. But what I realized when I used to do this is I would send messages and emails and do the work late. And then my, team members, colleagues, clients are getting these emails, and they may be online for various reasons. And then they're sending me back materials and expecting a reply at 2 a.m. No. I'm working at 2 a.m. because I don't want you to reply. I want you to reply later in the morning when I'm doing like daytime work and meeting and communication with people. This is like silo work. This means don't respond. Later you do that, because right now I'm focused in. I'm just doing. But long story short, it's that I had to realize that if I send somebody an email at 2 a.m. and they're up, they're gonna think it's okay to respond at 2 a.m. So don't do that. In another tutorial workshop that I did, I talk a little bit about using automation tools. So now what I do, I work at 2 a.m., 1 a.m., 12, whatever. And then I schedule that email to send out the next morning, 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 1 p.m., whatever. And also try to match it up with their time zone. So whatever their morning or like early afternoon is, I'll send the email for that time. but they don't need to know that I was working on it at 2 a.m. because they got it and the communication was sent in proper business hours. They don't feel overwhelmed to respond, and I don't feel overwhelmed if they respond to me at 2 a.m. and like, oh, can you fix this? Thank you so much. Can you fix this? And I was like, I was moving on to the next task. So, setting those type of boundaries for yourself and then implementing them when you're working with others, because again, you control your schedule, you control your obligations. And if you're not properly scheduling it out and controlling it, it will get out of hand because you're your own boss is the biggest blessing and curse you can experience. Ask any entrepreneur, ask any freelancer. It's true. You're your own enemy, honestly. And the next, so I talked a little bit about what type of work you do. I talked a little bit about when you work. So I'll talk now a little bit about what type of work you do. So, you can do various forms of work. Are you doing work that you're communicating through video, audio, texting? However you're interacting with your team, just be mindful of that. So that way you can clarify to whoever you're working with your communication style, how best to reach you, when best to reach you. That way you guys are all clear, because most times, you will work with people that you'll never see. I've been on teams for 3, 4, 5 years and I never met these people in person. I have no idea how tall they are, how short they are. Do they smell like lemons? I don't know. But because we've clarified and, across time zones, across countries, and because we've clarified what our communication styles are, what our boundaries are, when we work, what type of work we do, we're able to continuously work together for long periods of time and be successful at it. But if we didn't do that, and if we didn't identify how best we work in order to produce the best results, we wouldn't be doing anything much. So I definitely want to flag that for you all that are early stage freelancers or trying to get into fractional work. Identify how how do you do your best work? The next one is profit. So it's like, I got freelance money. I got 1099 money. Well, let's sit down and have a conversation about this too. So when you have this, when you are your own boss, right? You're doing fractional work, freelance work, you're more than likely filling out a W-9. So that documentation is called a W-9. So you're not filling out a W-2, you're filling out a W-9, and then you're going to be a 1099 contractor. So taxes is bolded because Uncle Sam will come and get his money. So one of the biggest things to be aware of when you're a 1099 contractor is that the organization does not take taxes out on your behalf. If you are US based, this can be a little bit more worrisome versus other countries, cities, states, municipalities, etc. I don't know about that, but I'm talking about the US and Uncle Sam. He wants his money and he wants it now. And so you have to figure out, what is your tax status, right? Are you married? Are you single? Do you have dependents? Then you have to fraction that into your rate. What type of work are you doing? Do you need to have certifications for it? Do you need to pay extra taxes based on the industry you're in, right? You have to look this up, because previously, or if you were working full time or in an organization as a W-2 employee, they have a whole department oftentimes, or they have a service provider that figures all of this out for them. When it's you alone, hire a very good CPA, hire a very good accounting team, and so they can help you out with this. But you also have to have a baseline understanding of taxes, numbers, and getting your finances in order. Because yes, you can hire a team, but people are people. And I don't say that in a negative way. I have a great accountant that I've been working with in a CPA firm that I've been working for years. But if we hear stories like, I think Fat Joe, he shared this, and he's not the only celebrity. What's his name? Steve Harvey also shared this experience where these guys, they're making millions, right? Millions of dollars. They're doing their thing. They're on tour. They're getting signed. They're on TV, celebrities. And what's happening in the back end? They trusted an accounting firm to handle paying their taxes, filing their taxes, and getting stuff out. And both of them were at the brink of, I don't remember if this is why Fat Joe went to jail. I don't remember, but I think so, or he avoided it. But I know Steve Harvey's story a little bit better, where he ended up with millions of dollars in taxes owed. And if he didn't go on a payment plan, he would have been arrested. He would have been in jail for tax evasion. And yes, your freelance business may not generate millions, but It might, or you just want to be prepared, right? You want to be conscious of the fact that, making sure you have the right support staff, making sure that you are aware of it. And I think I got lost in that story a little bit. But the reason I'm telling you this story is that even though you may have an accounting firm, a team that is handling your finances, if you don't have eyes on it, if you can't go in there and read and understand the basics of where is this money going, what is being charged, what is the percentage, the calculations, if you don't have a basic understanding of it, you will be screwed. Point blank, period. If you do not know what's going on, you do not know what's going on. And so for Steve Harvey's case and both Fat Joe's case, right, in both stories, their team was not paying their taxes, was stealing money from them, and that ended up again with them being fined and on the brink of going to jail for tax evasion. We don't want that for you. I'm wishing all the millions of dollars with your freelance fractional work, as well as just I don't know if they have different levels, right? Maybe celebrities, their cap is a different versus like an individual. Maybe if you're 10, 15, $20,000, you could be fined with taxes. You could be we could go down a tax rabbit hole, but I don't want to get you nervous. I don't want to get you scared. But what I want you to know is you need to have a baseline knowledge of your financials and taxes that need to be paid and ensuring that they are paid when they're supposed to be paid. And you have options here. You could pay your taxes quarterly. You could pay your taxes biannually, so twice a year, or you could pay your taxes in tax season, so once a year. But if you're not clear on and different business styles, different income levels can determine why you would want to do one of the above options that I mentioned. But talking to a tax professional is key, and understanding those numbers is key. And then now, why I wrote, what will your rate be? So depending on what type of work you're doing, how experienced you are on that work, you can set your rates anywhere from super low to super high. I've seen freelancers set their rate at $500 an hour, and I've seen freelancers set their rate at $50 an hour. And because you are setting your own rate and you're doing the work under your own ambitions. It's not like the company that's hiring you needs to micromanage you. That's the goal, right? They're hiring you as an individual, quote unquote, as a company that will come in and do these things. They're expecting you to come in as an expert, come in, strong in your field to stand your own ground. So they're not going to be babying you. And with that, you can command a rate that says, hey, I show up and X organization takes 4 hours to do this task. I show up and I get it done in 15 minutes. So you would pay them $150 an hour, but I'm charging you $500 an hour because I'm going to take 1 hour to do what they would do in 5-6 hours. So, the math makes sense when you look at it that way. And then are you set up as a company or an individual? So if you are on a 1099, you could have a corporation, an S Corp. S Corp is a form of a corporation. You could be a B Corp. You could be an individual, sole proprietorship. What else? LLCs is one. I think I said partnership already. But figuring out, are you going to incorporate in a certain style and then your company will be taxed and then you're paying yourself from your company? Or are you just using your individual social security number and being taxed as an individual? These are questions that you might wondering, like, how do I know which one to do? Definitely do your research, talk to a tax professional. I am not said tax professional. I am just giving advice as being a business owner and a business consultant for many years and working with my clients to set up EINs and set up, incorporating and figuring out their rates. So these are some things you want to keep in mind. Next up, health insurance and benefits. When you are on a, fractional employee, oftentimes, different companies are offering different benefits in different ways these days to, entice fractional, freelance, or contract employees. But on a normal day, ain't no health insurance, ain't no 401k, ain't no Roth IRA. There is none of that. You have to sort those things out for your long-term benefits yourself. You have to do that. So this is where you profit. Like, what are, and making sure that you are saving for health insurance, or you get some type of health insurance and pay it out of your pocket, and calculating that into your business expenses or your individual expenses, so that way you're prepared. Because again, these numbers, this math be mathing, and it adds up quickly. It adds up really quick. So you want to be mindful of that math problem. What are you saving? How much are you putting to the side monthly? Are you putting it in the right accounts? Have you signed up to the right accounts? Which accounts do you need? Which type of health insurance do you need? How often do you go to the doctor? Does it include vision? Does it include dental? Does it include ear? Like, These questions, I'm telling you guys, because first-hand experience. I've seen it for myself, I've seen it for colleagues, and the worst case, the worst thing to happen is you are not putting aside money for health insurance and health care, and then you have a procedure and it could be something small, and then you now end up with a $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 bill at your footstep because you weren't prepared. And paying, like, let's say you're paying a $200 a month premium. That seems like a lot, but when you calculate it, if you're going to the doctor and you've racked up $50,000 worth of health bills, and I hope it's not that high, but health insurance be costing, who knows? But paying $200 a month versus being at the end of the year with a $50,000 tax bill, two completely different things, right? And so just be mindful of that. You have to sort this out, see if the organization that you're working with has these benefits, and do something about it sooner than later. And again, just taxes, taxes, taxes. How are you getting paid by your employer, your team? What is it being classified as? What are your expense lines? Getting your get your Excel sheets in order, use QuickBooks, use Intuit, whatever tools. There are so many tools, right? But make sure, but I want to take away from this, because this was a lot, right? Watch it again, watching it in slow motion. But the key things I want you to take away from this part around profit and finances is just be mindful of taxes. Make sure you're tracking all those expenses and your numbers really well. So however, whatever is coming in and whatever is going out, you got to know it at all times, because things will fall through the cracks, and then tax time comes and you have to do bookkeeping, and it's a mess. It's a mess. And the bigger the mess, the more it costs. And we don't want to have that happen. Again, another lesson learned the hard way. And also, by the time of this recording, business taxes are almost due. And personal taxes are almost due. So be mindful of that when tax time is. The next thing I want you to make sure that you remember is price yourself accordingly to your experience level, the service you're providing, as well as the industry, right? Just be relevant to the industry. And then figuring out your tax setup. So are you a company or are you an individual? And what money, where's your money going for your health insurance, your benefits, your savings plan? Because you got to figure it out. Right? Be my own boss. Yay. Yay. No taxes taken out of my check. Yay. But Uncle Sam is on his way. So he will take those taxes. It's just not off of that immediate first check. Now I want to talk to you all a little bit around the final part. This is my favorite part of my framework. Is play. And when I say play, I literally mean play. So we all hear work-life balance, but I like to call it work-life synergy, because there really is no balance, but it's like a flow, a yin yang. You have to make it work and feel good together. And so you don't want to be in a position, being a fractional worker, a freelance worker, a contract worker, a gig worker allows you to have that flexibility, and it is a benefit to that. So use the flexibility to your best abilities. Don't say, oh, I don't have a schedule, I'm not set to a set office, so let me work 48 hours at a time. No, allow yourself breaks in between, celebrate with your family, travel more if that's what you're interested in, try new foods, interact with real life, whether it be family or friends or different experiences by yourself, but don't get over consumed by work. It is very, very, very easy to get overconsumed and overwhelmed by work when you are a freelance or independent worker. And I'll explain why. Again, I control my schedule. I make up what I do. I determine how I work, right? You are in charge of a lot of these things. And you could be your own best friend or your own worst enemy, or both at the same time. Guilty as charged. I have been there, done that. And so because you have that freedom and that flexibility, you can choose, do I keep working or do I unplug? And if you're passionate about your work, sad but true, sometimes you're saying 5 more minutes. That sentence should be your red flag to say, I have to stop right now. I have to stop immediately. No. Like, I have to stop right now. Because when you get to that point, that means you're pushing yourself a little bit too hard, and that could lead to burnout, stress, anxiety. I literally have a whole other workshop on that topic. But what I want you to hone in on here is that Making time for what you value in life is a benefit of fractional and freelance work. So use that benefit. Don't lose it. Stay focused, right? Let's go back to the beginning. Your purpose. Why do you want to do this work in the first place? Is it to have more time to paint, to hang out, to eat food, to try new things, to, explore a different career path, right? Why do you want to do that? Why did you start doing fractional work in the first place? Having your plan. When do you work? What time is that? What type of things do you work on, right? Having your plan. Then we're going to move on to now making sure that we go into production. What are the types of, how do we best work? Is it in the office? Is it on the beach? I don't know, but good luck to the beach workers. Is it in a beach? What time of day it is? What boundaries are you setting, right? How are you going to be productive and go into production for the things that you have to do? Then we're going to talk a little bit about, your profit. What are your taxes? How much is your take home? How much is going to be for your health insurance, your benefits, the things that you need to keep yourself healthy and wealthy internally and externally. And then now you have to play. You have to allow your work and your life to work together in a flow that you're not spending all your time at the beach and you're really not working, right? Or on the flip side, you're not spending all your time in the hotel room, never going outside to enjoy this country, this, environment that you said, oh, I want to be a fractional worker so I could traveling to all these states in the hotel room, using up all their Wi-Fi and never exploring these cities. I've seen people do that too. So you have to be mindful here. Make sure that you enjoy your time. And this is for any field and profession. Make sure you feel good about that. You're celebrating what you do. You're able to enjoy your life at the end of the day. So I hope this workshop was helpful for everyone. And then we come back to that quote. Don't wait for life to force you to make a change. Make that change consciously and on your own time. Again, I'm Georgie-Ann, the CEO and founder of GSD Solutions. I make content under my brand GSD with Georgie, which you can check out here and connect with me. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email, shoot me a message on Instagram or Facebook, LinkedIn, all the things. Literally, like anywhere you type in GSD with Georgie, I will be there. Check out more videos like this on my YouTube channel or on different social medias. And I will see y'all next time for another workshop on how to get something done. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.